So, good evening, friends. Good evening, good evening. Hope that you're all doing great. And you are well on your way with your holiday prep. All right. So, we do have our guests in the room as well. Mark and Beata have joined us.
Yes.
Hi, guys.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you both?
We are doing well. Yourself?
Awesome. I'm doing okay, thanks. A little tired, but pushing through anyway.
Enjoying the snow?
Enjoying the snow, actually. I mean, I wanted to get outside today, but I'm tired, so we're planning to get outside either tomorrow or the day after. We actually love the snow. We actually love the snow in this household. We do love the snow. So we put up lights today and some of our other outdoor decorations. But yeah, we will go to have fun in the snow later on this week. What about you guys? Going out to have some fun in the snow as well? Nope.
No.
What was the question? Sorry.
If we're going to have fun in the snow.
Oh no. No. Our kids, they're not anymore kids, so no.
We'll stay inside and hide. We'll hide from the snow.
We do this with snowing and watching TV.
Yeah. No, especially when you're have to drive, the snow is not as much fun.
When you're say that again. When
you're driving.
Oh.
This time of year, if you're a driver, make sure you got your winter tires on because it's not as much fun as.
Right. True.
It's a mess up, but it comes with territory. It's Canada. It's winter time, so it's part of it. We make fun of it, but it's gonna come anyway. So we just enjoy it as much as we can. I'm not a big fan of it, but for those who are, enjoy it.
I hear you. I actually have, I think that's a student. Some of my students decided to be following me. So I just want to shout out to the people who are saying hi and who are waving. I know some of my students who follow me don't actually have their names on there, which is fine. So hi, I see Paranoid.1. Hello to you. I can't remember who that is. If I recognize when you follow them. And then there's D3N. Okay, that person. Hi. Your name's a little different. Hi.
I.
Right. But yeah. So yeah. This is our final episode for 2020.
One.
And hi, I'm pretty sure this is a student as well. Hi, whoever you are, it's great that you're tuning in to get that knowledge in a little bit early, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because of course these students would all be under the age of 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's never too early to learn.
That is so very, very true.
Get your financial education on.
So true. So true. For the students that I have had, especially in careers, and I taught some other courses too, where I infused some financial literacy in there. The students were eternally grateful and said that, that I should do that more with other students. So I've used that opportunity, whenever I've had any of my classes, anytime it's kind of come up, financial literacy piece, I have included that there. All right, so our final show for 2021. Again, thank you to both of you for joining us on this journey for the last couple of weeks, for the last couple of months.
No, you're very welcome. We look forward to it, and we thank you for giving us the platform, the space, the opportunity to share some information with everybody who find it at least interesting.
All right, awesome. So this last person saying it's a teammate in GIA, so it's one of my business, not a direct business partner, but somebody who serves in the company, works in the company, where we have our independent businesses. So big up yourself, Danelia. Nice having you on here. I actually followed your other account, I think today or yesterday as well. Good to see the work that you're doing. All right, so we just said today that we would talk a little bit about, what is it again?
Top 5 things, new relationships.
When it's coming to finance.
When it comes to finance, it's a really good topic. Actually, it's very good. We actually, we have children who are not so young anymore who either are in relationships on my side or on the other side, who would be very close future might be in a relationship, and these are important things to think about, because money usually ruins a lot of relationships. Right? If it's not, so it's a good topic, and from our point of view, what we find is communication big time. Like, don't be afraid to talk about money.
Yeah. Straight questions, first of all. Even lady, don't scared to ask questions. Because usually it is like we waiting because we are ladies, so we are afraid to ask about the finance to the guy, right? Don't just ask. You haven't that. This is the most important thing, right? Ask first, top. Ask questions. The other partner, they haven't adapt. What is your plan for the future? Do you like saving money? How you spend money? With all question you have to ask, and don't avoid it. If other person was try to avoid answer the question, then there's something wrong. It's a two. First, the person might not be serious about the relationship. The second, hide.
Wait, what's the second thing you said? I missed that.
Has something to hide.
Okay.
And most people, like, I think, when, especially depending on what background you're from, what culture, money is not usually a topic of general discussion, right? Okay. And so people feel uncomfortable bringing that up and say, when it comes to financially, how do you think? How do you think of investing? How do you think of spending? Do you know how to save money? Do you save money? Or if you don't necessarily want to be the person who sounds like an interrogator, you can just give your perspective and says, tell about yourself. Tell, hey, you know what? I'm 25 or 26 or 30 years old, and I love saving money, or I'm very thrifty, or I'm a big saver. I'm a big investor. Do you know about investing? Know about stock market? You know about that stuff? See what intrigues them, because if this is something you think of as a relationship, that's going to be a topic of conversation for a long time. Bills, expenses. How much we spend going out to eat, how much we stay home and save instead of all these things.
Yeah.
And if it goes long enough, one day you might say, hey, you want to buy a house, you want to buy cars. So get comfortable with the conversation and feel it out. If the person, just like Beata said, if the person does not want to speak about that kind of stuff, either culturally they grew up where they think money is not an important issue, or they don't want to discuss it, that means, they might not be serious about a relationship. If it's not serious, they think it's none of your business. So it's just it. That's very, 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 very important topic. And sometimes you will be afraid. It doesn't matter man or woman. You'll be afraid to bring up a topic because you think the person might be put off or getting offended, and they might not see them anymore. But sometimes it's best to find out early.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. For some reason, something just popped into my head. I remember working somewhere at one point with an amazing, amazing young lady. This was when I was a financial consultant, just started. And I was talking to her, about her, like what her portfolio looked like. And she said at that time that her dad handled everything for her, right? This was, I guess, her background. It sounded like it might have had some ties to culture as well. She said that she didn't do any of that. She was working just like myself. Her salary would have been close to what I was working because of the positions that we both were working in. And she said, nope. She says her dad handles all of that. What would you say to somebody who is in that kind of a situation?
Well, I would be honest. It's time to be independent. Honestly, I would say it's just time.
But also, it all depends too on what degree it is. Because, for example, we are in the financial space, and if our kids come to us and says, "Hey, you know what? Show me how to set this up and how to do this and how to do that."
Well, that's different.
That's different because my daughter could say the same thing. My son could say the same thing to someone. My dad handles my investments. My dad handles this, right? Because I do have a big hand in it. Eventually, I will still be someone of advice on the outer, and just on the side, but they have to know what's going on, So they have to say, look, I got $60,000 in my TFSA. I got some RSPs. My dad is in the financial industry, or my mom is, and they advise me on some stuff. But I'm pretty set up. If it's like that, then nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
If it's like when the person says, "I have no idea what's going on. My father takes care of it. I don't know," then you're like,
so it's time to be independent.
Yeah, so it all depends on to what degree it is. Because there's nothing wrong if a parent is, very, very adamant about your children, especially if they're on the younger side, in the 20s or not even 30 yet, are really serious in helping them handle their finances until they're good to go. But if it's the person who's in their 45, 50, and it says, "Oh, my mom handled it, or my dad handled it," and I have no idea what's going on, then you gotta, you have to say, "Hey, you probably should take a look and see what's happening. You probably should know at least what's going on."
Okay, cool. Any other advice, or do you want me to ask some more questions? I have some things popping into my head.
Well, I don't think so. I think the most important thing is just speak up and ask questions, and this is the most important stuff. You can't if you think about other person seriously, you're not gonna hide stuff. And when you see other persons think different way, different time, different kind of spending, I always say to my son, if you don't want kids, you have to find a partner that she doesn't want kids. If you don't want to have a house, you have to find a partner who doesn't want a house, right? So this is all finance. It's all coming to the finance. Each house way to spend vacation either. Like, when one person likes to um, save so much and like going to camping using, car and stuff, which I don't like it, for example. And Mark, for example, would like it. So I know you don't, but I'm just saying how we could spend the vacation together, right? And I would go, for example, to Mexico, all inclusive, and he would say, "Oh, you spend so much money. I'm going to camping," and so this is the same, right? So you have to ask how do you like spending vacation? It's not a finance question, but it is, right?
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, and it's nowadays especially um, little things that people say. If someone says a lot, oh, money isn't everything, and you know this and that, and all the money can't buy you love and all that stuff, and money
Mm-hmm.
can't buy happiness and all these things. You gotta say, you know what? Yes, it's not everything, but it's a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
if you are financially stable, all the other stuff that you could you wanted to do, you can do. And that's what separates most people. And it's not necessarily the amount of money,
Mm-hmm.
it's the having enough money for you. If your lifestyle says this amount of finance will get me this, and maybe I want to live here, or I want to drive that car, or like vacation, like Bata says, we want to go on 2 vacations a year, or 3 or 4, right? It takes money. It doesn't take anything else but the financial aspect to do it. So if you're in a relationship and people are not saying, hey, you know what, let's sit down and plan. If you want to have children as well, same thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
Beth said, kids are expensive, of course, and so good financing, early planning, meaning that when the family starts to build and the children start to come around, you're in a position where you're not stressed out, you're not losing your mind, you don't have to cut certain lifestyle luxuries because you planned, you designed it. You know, Jim Rohn always says, happiness is designed.
Mm,
Happiness is not a wish, and
right.
it's not. And even when it comes to money, it's not a bank account. It's not necessarily. It's happiness is it's woven. He says that means you
Yes.
design it, you create
Yes.
it. So to be happy, young couple just meeting. If you're thinking that this person could be somebody in a long term, not just for next week or next year, long term, then start to build it early because you're building your happiness in the long run, right? Because if you can get over the financial hump, take that out of the way, everything else can be dealt with.
Mm,
Everything else can be designed, and early too. If we come across each other, we sat down, we talked for a couple minutes, and we find out that thinking wise about finances, we are on totally different planets. Then we have to come to a conclusion that this is not going to work.
Yeah.
Whatever, we just gonna work.
Well, in young age, it's possible to adjust, right? Some people they can change, or they can figure out, oh, this person has right, maybe I should adjust a little bit.
mm,
But but having said that, it's
mm.
only
Powerful. Powerful.
Lots of talking, lots of drinking. Maybe have a couple strong drinks and that way the honesty comes out a lot.
Yes.
After a few
drinks.
percentage of alcohol, they get really honest, and then you start start
Go Christmas shopping together.
you
You can
know
see what the person is buying, right?
Right.
uh,
Right. Or become network marketers together because or a lot of our platforms um,
yeah,
encourage a lot of whether communication or financial literacy, financial coaching,
yeah.
just in-depth questioning and conversations as well, right? As opposed to just a regular business where um, you're meeting somebody who sometimes only has an Instagram storefront, as I like to call it, right? And isn't necessarily earning at all, or earning from using social media, even though it may appear that they are, right?
Yeah. So it's important. Like it's all comes down to being honest up front, and be also yourself. So you're telling the truth. Is nothing wrong, especially early relationship, to find out whether this is right or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's better to find out very, very early. I've, in life where you meet somebody and says, you know what, we probably should be friends. Let's just be friends because we don't think the same. And I'm not going to change this thinking, and you're not going to change your thinking. So let's just be friends. Let's just Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and stuff like that. But it's not going to go that way. And
Right.
Part amicable and keep it going.
Right.
But it's very important. That's a major part because I talk to a lot of people who have been married for a long time. And one of the things I ask them is like, wow, you guys, whoa, that's a long marriage. He says, yeah. And the major thing is they agree on specific things that fits both of their moral code, their ethical codes, and also how they think about their finances. And after that, they said everything else we could work out.
And where it doesn't fit, there are lots of, I don't even know if we want to talk about that right now, with the holidays coming up, but where it doesn't fit, that's a whole nother ball game, right? Especially if you've been living together, if you've acquired assets together.
Yeah, but if it gets that far, where you've acquired assets together, you've got to know what each other's up to. I mean, you got to know if you've bought anything.
Right, but
even
if you're splitting, if you're just at that point deciding that it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Particularly,
right,
yeah.
If it gets that far, then we should have been doing some homework, conversing back and forth where we have assets together. We got to be able to get to that point. Of course, it's not going to be perfect. It's never perfect. But if we discuss most of it and put things on paper, write it down. We need to get this. We need to get that. We need to get this. We need to get this. What do you think? Oh yeah, we need to get this. What do you think? If the person says, those suck. I don't want that. I don't care. Then it's that's not going to happen. And we think that way because
I even asked
time.
I even asked Mark, for example, how do you think the budget together is supposed to look like?
Say that again?
The budget. Like, okay. Do you think, right. Yeah, like when people living together, how it's supposed to look like? So when we have this conversation too, I'm not going to say I was surprised about his thoughts in the beginning, but we came to the compromise, I think. And so communication, ask questions, be honest with each other.
Talking. Watch shows about finances. Read a book about finances. Maybe somebody just wasn't educated about this stuff in the beginning. Until I got in business about finances, I had no idea about many things. So maybe someone just is not informed about these things. So maybe reading some books, watching some shows about, investing in our businesses and stuff like that, give you ideas and say, okay, we have similar interests on that end. So that's pretty, it's never perfect. It's never perfect, but you can take out some of the future issues that could come up by being honest, upfront, and just talking to each other a lot about everything, and you'll be much more better.
Amazing. I've heard from some persons that it is tricky to get started in relationships these days with all that, all that's going on with people's finances really looking different from what they used to in the past. You know, it's just tricky. What would you say to those persons? You know, so persons might find that there is some compatibility, but people are, you know, generally just worried about pooling resources together, you know, concerned, nervous, frightened about that compromise. And
Well, if you're brand new, if you have no time to enough time together yet, that's a genuine concern. If you've just met this person a month ago, 2 months ago, even 6 months ago, that is a genuine concern. You know, you don't jump in head first right away. Still got to be somewhat cautious and feel things out. And when it comes to especially putting all our accounts together and all these things and all that stuff, take some time. That's a very important step. A very important step. Take some time to, you know, go around that and say, okay, because especially if you come into a relationship with a lot of big responsibilities already, if you have some big stuff you're taking care of, especially like us, she has a child, I had 2 kids, too, because so we have responsibility to come into relationships. So now we have to be practical about it. If none of that exists, we're just young couple, all that stuff. Talk about the finances, because putting your money together now, that means, you know, your money is my money in the same account. Then if one is a super spender, one is a super saver, there's gonna be an imbalance. So those things take time with that. That can be handled after the fact, you know, of okay, let's pool our money together now because we know we're serious and we want to buy a house together and we want to have children together. And we, you know, all these things are important.
Well, always is a prenup too.
right.
You know,
Right. And that's something.
What?
Even before you get to the marriage part, right? Get these out of the way first, right?
Yeah, but you can always do the prenup. Even if you don't have much money, but it's yours for a relationship, you can always do that.
I encourage that strongly.
And don't think so anybody should feel offended. I don't think so. I know people they do, but I don't think so. It's something wrong with it. If I, for example, let's say I have an apartment after or condominium after my, like, let's say grandfather, and I'm going to new relationship, I would do prenup for sure.
It saves a lot of heartache, right? And where kids are involved, it safeguards the kids and the parents that have the responsibility, right?
Yeah.
And it's also different when it comes to your financial position. There are some people who have, you know, a lot of assets. They got properties, big family properties, lands and acres and acres and acres. You know, those are big things. And so you have to look at the new relationship as let me be sure where it's going before what's mine become ours. Be sure before we get to that part. And you're speaking about the times now, the whole, I guess, pandemic issue and people's finances getting, you know, not what it used to be, you know, with job stability, career, maybe starting a new career, maybe deciding to go out on your own. I read a stats last week that says over 70% of Canadians have decided to start their own business.
Have their own businesses.
Yes, over 70% since the pandemic started. And because a lot of them were in positions where jobs were at risk, layoffs, companies closed, you know, and it's not big companies, smaller companies like restaurants and stuff. They got hit hard with this. And so a lot of people had to take that risk and go out on their own and start their own business. And when you do that, you're not going back to the workforce. So another problem is a lot of businesses can't find employee because most people are working on their own thing, which it's good and bad. But for the people that have started something, if especially if they stick to it and keep going, they're going to be successful. So they won't be going back to the workforce. Um, but in that case, yes, you have to have a partner who is very super considerate, very supportive in that situation where your income might have dropped big time because of COVID, so to speak. And that's a good thing in a way when you know how real this relationship is
Yeah.
and how serious this person is by the support and the consideration of that. If they take off at that moment, you're like, oh well, they weren't that serious. And
True.
so it's in every bad situation, there's some good points, and when things get bad, when the person stick around, it's good to know.
True, 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 true. And yeah, I'm always thinking, and I our show might be a little bit shorter this week. That's okay. I'm always thinking about those who, have ended up in situations where they are single, doing a lot on their own, maybe doing everything on their own, and may have planned or may not have planned, and just to highlight those persons as well, and maybe to give encouragement to them as well. What are the recommendations there, um uh you know as they move into a new year, make new goals, um just putting themselves in situations to face life head on, right? Whether alone or in a business, or in a business setup where there are business partners or some amount of support. What kind of advice do you have for persons like that as well?
Um, in a situation where somebody, for example, just became single and now has to pretty much, switch their mentality and manage things on their own.
I have some to say. I've been there, and actually, it was. Sorry to interrupt, but you never been in that kind of situation where the other partner income was higher than mine, and I became single without support. So on the beginning, it's a shock for sure, and you just have first what you have to do is find what to cut, like the cut the bill. That makes you feel more secure because you can always adjust the fee, right? But you cannot do nothing without bill because you have to have a space to leave and do other stuff, right? Sleep. But first thing, adjust the bills. So check if you can, for example, switch for cheaper internet, TV cable, use less utilities and that kind of stuff. Instead of panic, it is always the first thing, right? Panic. So after that, wake up, take the budget sheet, which we provide for the clients.
Oh.
Put everything what you spend and how you can change your life right now. That's giving like a lot, and you would be surprised how much money you can find. And then adjust the job, like get extra work.
What about those with younger kids who you can't leave alone?
This is what I want. So, but fortunately, he was at school already, early elementary school, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you were a full-time mom, that's the one, right? We have a card. We have to go to the card.
Yeah.
And get the money for the children. I know that's hard, but it's what we have to do. But if you're like single and the kids are already at school, so you have this time when they are at school that you can actually go to work. And right now you can find a lot of stuff that you can do at home too, right? But cut the billings.
And coming from like a guy's perspective, because a lot of times you will hear from a lady's perspective where they split, they have the children, the father's gone, and stuff. Coming from that, if that happens, and you have kids, it doesn't matter what happened between you and the partner. Don't leave your kids stranded. Don't disappear off planet Earth and leave your children stranded.
Yeah, but like I mentioned about my situation, it might happen opposite because sometimes actually the other partner has more money and like lady has more money and the guy he is the one who has less money, like less income, right? So always the first thing I think it's a rebudget. So this is the first thing you have to do. When you became single, having got two income, now you have a one income, rebudget. Don't panic, just sit and do your budgeting, spending, all the bills. You don't have to have 5 TVs, right? You can have a one. Or you can just have an internet and Steam, right? Yeah, so
Okay.
It's always best to look at your income that's coming in, and if your expenses are higher than your income, you're going to be in trouble. So you have to find a way towards that, and do without a few things for a while. Prioritize big time. Prioritize a lot, and then everybody bounce back eventually.
Sometimes in Canada that's easier said than done, eh? And if anybody is in that situation, I'd recommend reaching out to me, reaching out to either Beata or Mark. I don't like talking about myself too much, but I've lived that experience. I've mentioned on social media a couple of times what the outcome is. I'm not going to do that right now because we are in a happy season, but it's tricky. It's tough. It's not pretty when you find yourself in that situation for whatever circumstance, right? So just know that there are persons who can help. There are persons with the willingness to offer mental support and ideas about what that transition period can look like. All right. And sometimes that transition period doesn't, depending on where you end up, it doesn't have to be a long transition either. Right. Sometimes depending on what the options are, it's a couple of weeks, let alone a month or two, but it does not have to be a long period. But like I said, reach out to either Mark or Beata or myself if you are in a situation like that, all right? So that we can offer some advice. I have resources if you're a woman in particular in Canada. Men as well, as a matter of fact. But, if you find yourself in a situation like that, reach out, right? Honestly, reach out. Don't allow yourself to feel like you are alone. And if you do allow yourself to feel like you're alone, don't stay there for too long. Know that seriously, honestly, there are people that are willing to help.
And it made me think of something what we started the conversation with earlier. when you start a relationship, how you start it, because it that could happen where split happened, and but if the plans were in place at the beginning, if the mindset was in place at the beginning, then financially, even when the relationship goes, in a bad way, financially, either party would be have more resources. Right? That's something I think about because when I think about what happens in difficult times, and I thought, man, if I actually back when if I did a couple things differently, I could have avoided this. Right? And so if you're there, we can, all of us on this call can actually give you some help in some way or another. If you're in a more younger person, just get into a relationship, understand that this is something that can happen. But if you plan early, you can avoid some of the pitfalls that comes with it.
Right, right. I definitely am a supporter of that, and I say, especially when it comes to planning and finances, and relationships, business, all that good stuff. Be super practical, and Beata said earlier, do the prenup, right? Go the legal route, regardless of what the other voices around you might be saying. It's a safer route. And even after the fact, sometimes, whether one party or the other has the intention to put the plans in place, right? And it doesn't go that way for whatever reason. Sometimes after the fact, you can also go the legal route, right? Which is a little bit more of a push and pull, but sometimes it's got to be done, for peace of mind and for the children's sake as well. All right? Where children are concerned, where their well-being is concerned, that's like, it should be priority, right?
Number one.
And though it, I'm going to say, it's not necessarily a pretty scenario. It's not necessarily pleasant and positive in terms of how you would be viewed by, other persons when you take that action. But it is sometimes absolutely necessary, so that boundaries are drawn up, so that there is respect that wasn't there initially, right?
Yes.
And this is whether personally or, in business. Just to encourage persons that peace of mind, well-being is most important. And so let's do the things that are going to enhance our well-being, especially, with all that's happening globally, with all the uncertainty that looms about. All right. Any final words to add, Mark and Beata? We're taking this all in for landing.
Talk a lot, converse, ask each other what you like, what you don't like, what you want, what you don't want. Get drunk a couple times so that we tell the truth. And
Love it.
And be honest too.
Yeah.
Be honest.
No, first be honest.
Be honest.
Then go drink.
Be honest, but believe me, I'll call the honesty. Be honest, and even if it comes to a point where to a point where this is not going to work, be honest enough to say it's not going to work, and save each both of you time, because time is important. We don't have hundreds of years. We have life is short, so let's have fun and plan. Planning helps in every way. Planning. Yes, I'm at an age now where I can go back and think, and I can tell you, 100%. Plan everything. Plan. Believe me, you will not lose if you plan. Plan.
And always plan B.
Yes.
What I would say, very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and don't plan because it's a new year. Plan every day,
Ah,
all throughout the year. Don't make,
powerful.
not only make new year resolutions, it just do it every single day.
Amazing, 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 amazing. With that being said, in Empower Her 101, and I know this is for women, but men are invited. We will be having a visioning with a sip of wine event coming up.
See? Alcohol.
Yes, yes, yes. The date, I believe it's the 8th of January. And so just look out on the social media for Empower Her. I probably will post it in the stories over here as well, for our guests to be informed. But visioning, planning is a huge part of what is done on all the platforms that I run. And so we're looking forward to having you there, both you, Mark and Beata, and our guests who are with us here today and who will watch this live on the replay. All right. Thank you so very much again for joining us. Thank you for sharing, Mark and Beata. Have an amazing, amazing holiday with friends and family, as much as possible. Even with, the limitations, just enjoy.
Yes.
You
I want to say
too.
the same to you. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Whatever you celebrate, have a great one. And, if we don't talk before the new year, have a magnificent, magnificent New Year's. And we're gonna be, I guess, I'm pretty sure we're gonna be doing a lot more of this in the coming year.
Yes.
And, for everyone that checked us out tonight and got something valuable of this, tell all your friends, friends, and their friends that we do this every second Sunday of every month. Every other Sunday of every month. And so come on out and check us out. If you have ideas, something you really, really, really want to talk about, you'd love to hear just send us a message, let us know ahead of time, and we will definitely, focus on the topic so that we can help you in any way we can. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, have a magnificent New Year, everyone, and thank you so much, Mr. Misha. Thank you so much for the space platform. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to the next one.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Toodles. Same to you
Thank
guys.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.